times where we felt as if we failed. I have lots of those. In preparation for this talk, I didn't list all of the awards. I didn't list all the things that went well. I went back to some places in my life where I sure wish I handled it differently. When I relate this to my Toastmasters career, I now try to prepare in advance. I try to think what might be the obstacles, what might be the technology glitches, which is why I try not to use PowerPoint. It works really well on the dining room tables. But somehow when you get here, PowerPoint becomes an enemy of the speaker. So I'm not using PowerPoint, just that alien. But I want to talk to you about the power of story and how that can really boost your personal power zone. All of us have a story to tell. Think about this. Our Toastmasters life, our life in general, is a journey. We're traveling on this highway, and it's the highway of life. And if you think about the traditional story form, there is a hero, and that hero is each one of us. So for the next few minutes, I want you to think about you are the hero on your own journey in life. Those of us who are Toastmasters, our journey is to become the best speaker we can possibly be and the best leader we can possibly be. And why is that important? When you are a speaker, it's very much like when you are a teacher, and I used to be a teacher. Teachers were held to a higher standard because of our influence on other people's lives. When you are a speaker, you have the power through the words that you select to raise a person's spirits, to heal, to inspire, to comfort, to motivate. But if you are not responsible in the gift and power that you have, you can use your words to hurt, to maim, to disempower. As Toastmasters, we never know who's going to be in our audience. There may be just one person who really needs to hear what we have to say. And therefore, we have to constantly work on the self. The self is the vehicle that carries our spirit. And it is our spirit that can help guide us into which words we should select, which topic will work this Saturday morning, what might inspire the new speaker, what might even inspire the veteran speaker like Bernie. Bernie, please raise your hand, and you can grumble at me later. Bernie was my speaking coach when I was in competition mode, and so he is a veteran of guts along with my other members who are here. But when you have the power and the gift of words, you have to be responsible. You want to be authentic. You want to be real. I have seen speakers come up and jump off the stage and do all kinds of things to rev the audience up. I tried that in my basement this week, and I twisted my ankle. So I said, that's not me. I have to speak from my personal power zone. And my personal power zone, that's that energy. It's that energy space that you tap into when you say, I can't do this. There's no way I can do this. And then you can close your eyes and somehow you feel like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can open the district conference. Maybe I can share a few stories about how to handle stuff that seems to be very tough. Some people do it through prayer. Some people do it through meditation. Some people do it through food. I do all three. When you are a speaker and you have an audience, like I have an audience today, when I speak from my personal power zone, the secret is it's not about me. It's not about me and how well I do. It's what you can take from what I have to offer. And what I have to offer is a genuine interest in how we can become the best speakers and leaders that we can be. Sometimes we have to take advice. Advice that we'd rather not take. Advice that says, if you do it this way, you may have greater success. If you do it this way, you may have that disco ball hit you flat on the face. There was a time when my husband and I were in Africa. We had saved for 3 years to have a honeymoon. We were in a situation where if we didn't handle it, I might not be here today. Everyone told us, if you want to go from the southern end of Ghana up to the top, make sure you take state transport. State transport. Here that might be somewhat like the Greyhound bus, maybe not the mega bus, although I've never been on the mega bus, but I've heard stories. They said, make sure you take state transport. But we were so excited to get to Kumasi. We were down in Accra. That as soon as one of the off-brand motor people came up and said, we can cut the state rate in half if you come with us. We looked at each other all of 2 seconds and said, why not? And we did. In the middle of the night, the bus broke down. Now, the bus didn't break down with just people. The bus broke down with goats and chickens and people. Picture a very rickety van that seats 2 people here and 2 people here. And you're already crammed like this. Then they bring a board in and they put it between the 2 seats. Now, instead of 4 people across the row, you might have 8 people across the row. So I'm sitting half the trip up, and then half the trip back, and then my husband is half up, and it was the most miserable 3-hour trip of our lives. But then they brought in the goats and the chickens. So now we are crammed with wildness all around us, and we break down in the middle of the night. And the thing that I have used to this day, and even in my Toastmasters world, is the voice that we heard at 2 o'clock in the morning when my husband and I decided we can't handle being here with all of these people and nobody has a flashlight. Nobody has a AAA card. Nobody has an AARP card. And we are stuck. So my husband, being the former Marine, says, let's walk, Tamara. Now the walk is probably another 2 hours. And it's the middle of the night. To know the middle of the night in Ghana, in an area that has cocoa trees. The cocoa trees grow up and then they arch over. So you can't even see the moon. It is dark. It's what my kids call, it's black night dark. And here we go walking down the road. When we get about 200 yards away, we hear someone from the back, from the bus, yell, you never know who you'll meet on the road. And we stop. And we look back and we can see a flicker of light. When we look ahead, we see nothing. When we look to the right, we see a little village. And we go there and we knock on the door. Nobody has gas. We go to 3 taxi drivers' houses and none of them have gas. So we decided to keep walking. And we walked on this journey. We just kept walking until an oil rig picked us up with 5 other people in the back. And now it's cold. My husband's getting sicker by the day. And we finally get to the village of Kumasi. And he has to go to the hospital. We find out that he has malaria. So now we have a sickness and we are not lost anymore because we know the friends are somewhere over the hill. And we make it there. The moral of this story is, I'm sitting there New Year's Eve, we're on our honeymoon, 3 years delayed, and my husband is literally dying. His eyes are in the back of his head, he's sweating profusely, and we go back to the hospital, and I know he's going to die now because they give him a shot. They say the only way to save him is to take this shot. The needle was probably about this big. Oh. And he takes this shot, and he's laying on the bed, New Year's Eve, and I'm sitting there thinking, I can't handle this. And all of a sudden, I hear his mother's voice saying, you better not let my son die in Africa. And when I heard Dorothy Nichols, I looked up and I started putting more cold compresses and more and more and more. My husband survived that. But I had to go deep into a place I had never been before. One, I had to acknowledge that I'm in some deep stuff right now. I don't know how to handle this. And so the only thing I could do was to pray. To say, please, God, don't let him die here. Not here. When we've been on this journey that we've been planning for years. My husband survived, and we have told that story many, many times. We tell it differently, but the result is the same. He didn't die. We didn't take the advice that was given to us, and we paid the price. So the advice that I have for everyone here today is that we have to look deep inside ourselves, and we have to ask the question, who am I? Who am I? What journey am I on? Where am I going? And when I get there, what will I do? But that first question, who am I? And I'm not talking about the elevator speech, but who are you at your core value point? Because that's going to influence what kind of speaker you are. It will influence how you relate to your audience. Because when you get in touch with your personal power zones, that energy source, that feeling of intention that you want to serve the audience first, it's not about the bells and whistles. It's not about if you can turn cartwheels off the stage. But it's whether or not you can make a genuine human connection to the people who are listening to you. Because to be the